She was thrown out by her husband for being infertile. Then a single dad CEO said, "Come with me." The November wind was cutting through the empty streets of New York like a sharp knife. The cold felt like it was entering the skin and settling deep inside the bones. Under a weak streetlight, on an old cracked bench at a lonely bus stop, a young woman sat curled up like someone trying to disappear from the world. Her thin coat didn't even reach her elbows. Her knees were pressed to her chest as she held a small, old locket in her shaking hands. It was her mother's, the only thing she had left. Her name was Anna Moore, but lately, it didn't even feel like her name anymore. Not after her husband screamed it at her like an insult. Useless. Broken. Barren. Then he pushed her out of the house and locked the door behind her. That was 2 nights ago, maybe 3. She wasn't sure anymore. She hadn't slept. She hadn't eaten. Her head felt light, her body weak. Someone had stolen her small bag at a rest stop, taking everything she owned. She had nothing now. Absolutely nothing. She felt like her life was empty. Her tears had already dried days ago in a dirty gas station bathroom where she stared at herself in a cracked mirror. The bruises on her wrists had started turning from purple to yellow. But the painful words her husband said still rang in her mind. You can't even do the one thing a woman is supposed to do. After she lost the baby, he didn't take her to the hospital. She had bled alone on the bathroom floor. She survived, but something inside her didn't. The wind blew harder. She hugged her coat tighter, but it was useless. The cold was already inside her heart. Then headlights appeared. A sleek black car slowed, then stopped. Anna froze. The door opened softly. Footsteps approached, calm, not hurried. Then a man's voice, low and gentle. "Are you all right?" She didn't move. Her first instinct was to lie. To say she was fine. That was what she had always done. But she was tired. Too tired to pretend. She slowly lifted her head. A man stood a few feet away. His coat collar was raised. His dark hair was blown slightly by the wind. His brown eyes looked tired but full of kindness. No threat, just concern. She opened her mouth, but her voice was weak. "I'm cold." That was all she could say. Not her name, not her story, only the truth. He nodded. Without hesitation, he removed his warm coat and gently placed it over her shoulders. She flinched a little, but he didn't try to touch her. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "My name is Nathan. Nathan Lancaster." She stayed silent. Nathan studied her face, the bruises, the exhaustion, the way she held that tiny locket like her life depended on it. "There's a diner a few blocks from here," he said quietly. "It's warm. It's open. Come with me." Anna stared at him. "Why?" she whispered. He paused. His voice dropped lower. "Because it's too cold out here, and because no one should be alone tonight." Her fingers tightened around her locket. She looked down at her soaked shoes. Then, slowly, she stood up. She didn't take his hand, but she followed him. The diner sat on a quiet corner, its neon sign blinking weakly. Inside, it was almost empty, just an older couple in one booth and a tired waitress behind the counter. Warm air wrapped around Anna the moment they stepped inside. She almost felt like crying. Nathan pointed to a booth by the window. Anna hesitated, then sat across from him, still wrapped tightly in his coat. The waitress approached. "2 coffees?" she asked. Nathan nodded, then looked at Anna. "Are you hungry?" Anna quickly shook her head. "Just water, please." The waitress walked away. Nathan didn't try to force a conversation. He didn't ask questions. He just looked out the window calmly. Anna looked at her reflection in the small mirror beside the booth and almost jumped. Her face looked strange, hollow cheeks, tired eyes, tangled hair, dirt on her jaw. She looked nothing like her old self. Ashamed, she quickly turned away. The waitress returned with 2 cups of coffee, a glass of water, and a bowl of chicken noodle soup Nathan never said out loud. She placed it gently in front of Anna. Anna looked up at him, confused. "You didn't have to." "You're shaking," Nathan said. Nathan stirred his coffee gently. "Soup helps," he said simply. Anna stared at the bowl in front of her. Steam rose softly into the air. Her stomach twisted, part hunger, part fear. Slowly, with shaky hands, she picked up the spoon. They ate in silence. Outside, the street lights threw long, lazy shadows. Inside, only the quiet sound of spoons touching bowls filled the air. After some minutes, Nathan leaned back and released a long, tired breath. "I have 3 kids," he said suddenly. Anna looked up without lifting her head fully. Nathan gave a faint, worn-out smile. My wife passed away 3 years ago. Car accident. Since then, I've been trying to be everything for them. Father, mother, coach, nurse. It's tiring. His voice wasn't angry, just honest. Anna lowered her eyes again. She wanted to speak, but her words got stuck in her throat. Then she whispered, barely hearing her own voice. I used to want children. Nathan didn't reply immediately. Anna breathed in shakily, still facing down. But I couldn't have any. I tried for years, and because of that, I was thrown away. Like I failed some test nobody told me I was taking. Her voice cracked at the last words. Nathan didn't touch her. He didn't rush to comfort her. He simply placed his spoon down quietly and said, You were not discarded. His voice was calm and firm. You just haven't found the place where your life is supposed to begin again. Anna's eyes stung, but still no tears came. She held the spoon tighter, her knuckles turning white. Nathan waited for a moment, then said gently, If you have nowhere to go, I have a guest room. It's warm. It's safe. No pressure. No expectations. Anna blinked slowly. She was shocked. Completely stunned. You don't even know me, she whispered. I know what it looks like when someone is hurting, he replied softly. And I know how it feels to be lost. A long silence filled the space between them. Then Anna gave a small nod. Just once. For the first time in days, something inside her loosened. The car ride to Nathan's home was silent. Anna sat in the passenger seat, holding tightly to the coat he gave her. The collar carried his scent, clean, warm, unfamiliar. She watched the city slowly disappear, replaced by quieter streets. Street lights flew past like faint stars. When the car entered the private driveway, Anna's breath caught. The house was huge. Modern, tall windows glowing with soft golden light. Beautiful, but the air around it felt empty. Nathan turned off the engine. It's not much of a welcome, he said quietly, but it's home. Anna didn't answer. Her hand curled around her locket under the coat. He led her inside. The foyer was spotless. Marble floors. A tall staircase. Expensive paintings. A piano in the corner that looked untouched for years. Everything was perfect. But it didn't feel lived in. She followed him down a hallway, her footsteps echoing behind his. Then she noticed something on the walls. Children's drawings, messy, colorful, taped crookedly. Crane houses. Smiling suns. Stick figures. One drawing had the name Sophie in shaky purple letters. Anna slowed and stared at them. They were imperfect, but full of love. I didn't take them down, Nathan said quietly. Even after. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. He took her to a guest room. Simple compared to the rest of the house, but to Anna, it felt like heaven. A clean bed. A dresser. A soft blanket. A warm lamp. There's a bathroom across the hall, Nathan said. Fresh towels. You can shower if you want. I'll get you something clean to wear. She nodded, still holding the coat tightly. He paused, then whispered, Good night. Then he walked away. Anna stood there, confused by the peace around her. The room felt too soft, too gentle, like if she breathed too hard, it would disappear. She touched the dresser. It was real. Solid. Then she heard footsteps. She turned. In the hallway stood a little girl around 6, hugging a pillow. Dark hair. Big eyes. Barefoot. Behind her stood an older boy with crossed arms. And a tiny boy, probably 4, peeked from behind a chair. Nathan's children. The girl stared without blinking. The older boy didn't move. The youngest peeked again and hid. Anna knelt slowly so she wouldn't scare them. I'm Anna, she said gently. Your dad said I can stay here tonight. No answer. The boy stayed stiff. The little girl shifted her feet. The youngest peeked once more. No welcome. No words. But they didn't run away. That night, on her way to the kitchen for water, Anna passed the living room and stopped. Sophie was on the rug, fighting with a long tangled ribbon. Her eyebrows were squeezed together in frustration. Anna stepped closer. Can I help? She asked softly. Sophie didn't respond. But she didn't refuse either. Anna knelt and gently took the ribbon. Her hands moved slowly, remembering her mother's gentle touch while braiding her hair. The knot came undone. The ribbon became smooth again. Sophie whispered, almost too soft to hear. My mom used to do this. Anna met her eyes and nodded. So did mine. The girl stared at her for a moment, then stood up and walked away with the ribbon. She didn't say thank you. But the next day, the drawings on the hallway wall were still there. Anna didn't try to win Nathan's children over. She understood better than anyone. These children had seen too many people come and go. Nannies that quit. Babysitters that left. Relatives who stayed for a short time and disappeared. They didn't need fake smiles. They didn't need promises. They needed someone who simply stayed. So she stayed. Every morning, even before the sun touched the windows, Anna woke up. No alarm. No request. Just her heart telling her to move. She walked through the quiet house like a soft whisper. In the kitchen, she brewed Earl Grey tea and left it on the table exactly where Nathan always Saturday. Then she made breakfast, simple but thoughtful. A bear-shaped pancake for Max, because he giggled the first time and now looked forward to it every morning. Peanut butter toast. No onions anywhere, she noticed Liam picked them out every single time. A strawberry milk for little Sophie, who never said she wanted it, but always finished it. She didn't ask Sophie why she suddenly hid her drawings. She just added new colored pencils to the art basket. She didn't ask Liam why he glared whenever she spoke softly to Max. She simply remembered the tone that made him relax. She didn't ask why Max feared the dark. She quietly left the hallway light on, a small line of safety. She never begged for their trust. But slowly, quietly, she earned something deeper. One Saturday night, Max had a small fever. Nathan was stuck in a late board meeting. The babysitter couldn't come. Anna stayed beside Max's bed, placing a cool cloth on his forehead. "Do you want a story?" she asked softly. He nodded. So she told him a gentle story, about a little bird with a broken wing that was found by 3 kind children. They didn't try to force it to fly. They didn't try to fix it. They simply stayed. And when the bird healed, it came back, not because it was broken, but because love had made that place a home. Max didn't say a word. But his small hand curled into hers as he fell asleep. The next morning, there was a folded piece of paper on the table. No name. No message. Inside was a drawing. 3 children standing beside a tall woman with long brown hair and a shining necklace. All of them smiling. A bright blue sky behind them. Nathan found Anna holding the drawing, her eyes shining with emotion. "She didn't draw her mother," Nathan said quietly. Anna nodded softly. "No, she drew me." A small pause. "I think," she whispered, "I'm beginning to exist here." But it was Liam who changed everything. Sunday afternoon, Nathan was out. Anna was folding laundry when she suddenly heard a loud crash upstairs, then crying. She ran. Max sat on the floor of Liam's room, crying over his broken robot. Sophie stood by the door, arms folded. "He smashed it," she yelled. "On purpose." Liam stood apart, fists tight, eyes angry. "It's just a toy," he muttered. His acting like somebody died. Anna didn't shout. She sat beside Liam, giving him space. "No touching, no pressure," she said quietly. "When I was 6, she began, my mother gave me a teddy bear. I hid it every day. One afternoon, someone tore it apart. I cried, not because it was a toy, but because it was the only thing that made me feel loved." Liam looked away. Silence filled the room. As she stood to leave, his voice broke the air. "Max clings to you," Liam said quietly. "He barely remembers her, but he remembers you." Anna turned slowly. Liam disappeared into his room, then came back holding something, an old, navy blue fabric bracelet. "I made this," he said, eyes low. "Mom taught me. I've never given it to anyone." He held it out awkwardly. "You can keep it," he said. "Just, don't call it a gift. And don't say thank you. I just, don't hate you." Anna smiled softly and took it without a single word. That night, Nathan came home late. He found Anna in the kitchen stirring soup, the bracelet resting on her wrist. "Nice bracelet," he said with a warm smile. "Liam gave it to me," she answered quietly. Nathan raised an eyebrow. He said, "It's not a gift, just that I'm not hated." Nathan laughed, a real laugh, the kind that had been gone for a long time. "From Liam," he said. "That's practically a love letter." They looked at each other longer than usual. Not romantic. Not rushed. Just present. The house was calm, wrapped in moonlight. A soft breeze moved the curtains. The hallway creaked with age. But Nathan, he wasn't calm. He sat in his study with a book open, but he didn't read a single page. The silence felt too loud tonight. Sleep refused to come. Past midnight, he found himself walking through the hallway, quietly, almost without thinking. Past the children's rooms. Past the kitchen. until he stood at the guest room door. He hesitated. Then he knocked, gently. A few seconds later, the door opened. Anna stood there in an oversized soft sweater, Liam's bracelet still on her wrist. Her eyes weren't afraid, just curious. "I couldn't sleep," Nathan murmured. She nodded softly. "Me neither." Minutes later, they sat in the quiet kitchen, each holding a warm mug of tea. They didn't turn on the bright lights. Only the soft glow from the stove lit the room, making gentle shadows dance on the walls. For a long time, they said nothing. Then Nathan spoke, staring at the steam rising from his mug. His voice was low. "It was raining the night she died," he whispered. "My wife." He paused. "A drunk driver ran a red light. She didn't even make it to the hospital." Anna's eyes softened with quiet understanding. "I was home with the kids," Nathan said, voice shaking slightly. "Sophie had a fever. I remember holding her when the phone rang." He let out a slow breath. "The moment I heard the officer's voice, I knew." It felt like half the house disappeared. Half of me, too. Anna didn't interrupt Nathan. She just sat quietly and listened. Nathan lifted his eyes to her. "Sometimes I still forget," he said softly. "I'll reach for my phone to tell her something, and then I remember she's not anywhere I can reach." A heavy silence filled the room. Not uncomfortable, just full of emotion, two people sharing the same quiet pain. Anna slowly traced her finger around the rim of her cup. Then shyly, she reached for the locket resting under her sweater and lifted it gently into the light. "This was my mother's," she whispered. "She died when I was 17. This is the only thing I have left from her." Nathan looked first at the small, worn locket, then at Anna's face. "It suits you," he said softly. Anna let out a small, breathy laugh, the first real laugh he had ever heard from her. Soft, tiny, but real. "I don't laugh much," she admitted. "It feels like a luxury." Nathan studied her carefully, then asked gently, "Who made you believe you don't deserve joy?" Her smile faded immediately. Her hands tightened around the warm cup. And then, like a small crack opening in a dam, she spoke. "I was 19 when I married him. My father arranged it. I thought maybe he loved me. I thought if I tried hard enough, I could make him love me." She looked down. "I spent 10 years trying. 10 years being someone else. I cooked. I cleaned. I kept quiet. I said sorry for things I didn't do. I made myself invisible just so he wouldn't hit me." Nathan's expression stayed still, but his hands curled slowly into fists. Anna continued, her voice barely a whisper. "I got pregnant once. 2 months along." Her voice shook. "One night he got angry. He threw me against the wall. I lost the baby." A long, painful silence. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. "He didn't allow me to go to the hospital," she whispered. "He said it was my fault." She let out a shaky breath. "A doctor found me a week later. Someone whose house I used to clean. He knew something was wrong. He helped me disappear. Helped me start over with a new name." Her voice broke slightly. "I became nobody." She looked up at Nathan, eyes tired, broken, but brave. "I died that year, but somehow I'm still breathing." Nathan didn't speak right away. He didn't say "I'm sorry." He didn't give empty comfort. Instead, he slowly reached across the table and touched the locket resting on her chest, gently, respectfully. "You are not someone to be forgotten," he whispered. "You are someone to be remembered for surviving what most people wouldn't." Their eyes met. No big gestures. No promises. Just deep understanding, and a kind of respect that words can never describe. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. Anna was folding towels in the living room. The children's show hummed softly in the background while Max and Sophie argued playfully over crayon colors on the rug. Warm sunlight filled the room. Quiet giggles. A gentle peace, the kind she had never known before. Then the TV changed to breaking news. Philanthropist and real estate investor Michael Rowe returns to public view this weekend, hosting the annual charity gala in Manhattan. Anna froze. The screen showed his face. Smiling. Confident. Perfect suit. Perfect lies. Reporters leaned forward to hear every word he said. To the world, he was a good man. But to Anna, he was the monster who destroyed her life. Her hands dropped the towel. Her breath stopped. Her legs moved before her mind could catch up. She rushed down the hallway into the bathroom, closing the door and pressing her back against it. Her chest tightened like someone was squeezing the air out of her. Too much air. Not enough air. Her hands shook violently. She slid down to the floor, curling into herself, shaking. He's alive, he's still out there, and I'm the one hiding. She buried her face in her knees. Footsteps. A soft knock. Then the door gently opened. Anna. Nathan's voice, low, steady, careful. He crouched beside her, but didn't touch her. He waited until she finally lifted her face. She hadn't cried yet, but her skin was pale and her lips trembling. He's still out there, she whispered, her voice breaking. On TV, smiling, being praised. And I'm hiding in a bathroom like I'm the one who did something wrong. Nathan's jaw tightened. His hands curled into fists, but his voice stayed calm. No, he said firmly. No more hiding. Not from him. Not from the truth. Anna shook her head. You don't understand, she whispered. He knows people. He'll destroy me again. Nathan. I faked my death. If I come forward, I could go to jail. He'll say I'm crazy, unstable, a liar. And we'll have the truth, Nathan cut in gently but firmly. Not for revenge. Not to hurt him. But because the truth deserves daylight. And you deserve your name back. Anna didn't answer immediately. But something in Nathan's steady voice, his certainty, his refusal to let her disappear, began to melt the wall she built for 10 years. That night, they made a decision. Nathan made the first calls, to Dr. Priscilla Adams, the retired doctor who had once saved Anna's life. She answered on the first ring. Her voice broke when she heard Anna's name. Within days, she sent old medical records, a signed affidavit of Anna's injuries, and a statement about the night she helped Anna escape. Then Nathan called his legal team, the best family and civil rights attorney available. He didn't care about the cost. Anna watched all of this from the sidelines, scared, unsure, doubting herself. But every document, every phone call, every piece of proof, reminded her she wasn't alone anymore. And the children noticed the change, especially Sophie. One morning, Anna found a folded paper under her breakfast plate. It was another drawing, messy, uneven, but deeply beautiful. In the picture, a tall woman stood with her arms stretched wide in front of 3 small children. Behind her was a wall of dark, sharp shadows. But the woman, wearing a long dress and a glowing locket, stood between the children and the darkness. Across the top, written in purple crayon, "You are our shield." Anna pressed the drawing to her chest. Her throat tightened. Her eyes burned with emotions she had never allowed herself to feel. That night, after the children were asleep, she showed the drawing to Nathan. He stared at it for a long, quiet moment. "She sees who you are," he said gently. "Not someone who was broken. Someone who protects." Anna nodded, her voice soft but steady. "Then I will stand up for them, and for myself." A week later, the case was filed. The truth was no longer hidden. And neither was she. The courtroom was silent when the verdict was read. Guilty. Mike Rowe, once the smiling face on every billboard, the man who fooled the world, now exposed as an abuser and a manipulator, stood frozen as the judge continued speaking. But Anna hardly heard any of it. Her breath rushed out in one long, shaking exhale. She was free. Not hiding. Not erased. Not surviving in the shadows. Free. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed like angry bees. Cameras flashed. Microphones pushed forward. "Anna Moore, how do you feel? Anna, what will you do now? Anna, are you afraid he'll appeal?" And then, her hand was taken. Small. Steady. Liam, 8 years old, in a clean white shirt and navy slacks, his hair falling over his ears, held her hand firmly. He didn't flinch at the cameras. He didn't look away. "She's not scared," he said, lifting his chin. "She's our family now." A warm murmur ran through the crowd. One of the headlines the next day read, "The woman who survived twice." But in the Lancaster home, no one called her that. They called her Anna. They called her Mom. They called her ours. Days passed. Then weeks. The world moved on. New stories came. New tragedies filled the news. But inside Nathan's home, something beautiful stayed. The quiet laughter during breakfast. The thundering footsteps racing down the stairs. The soft knock at night. "Can I sleep in here?" And the steady warmth of Nathan brushing her shoulder as they cooked dinner side by side. It was a Tuesday evening in late spring. Dinner was simple: grilled chicken, roasted potatoes, lemonade from a carton. The sun dipped low, sending golden light across the backyard. The string lights flickered on over the garden fence. Anna was rinsing dishes when Nathan stepped outside. She followed him into the garden they had grown together, where Max once dumped all the seeds in one hole and called it a jungle, where Sophie planted wildflowers in crooked lines, where Liam tried to build a scarecrow out of socks. Now, the two of them stood alone. Inside, the kids were giggling loudly over a board game. Nathan turned to her, hands in his pockets. His voice soft, steady, true. "I've spent the last 3 years holding this house together with duct tape and coffee," he said. "Trying to be everything. Do everything. For them. For myself. For the memory of what we lost." Anna stayed quiet, listening the way she always did. He took a slow, deep breath. "I don't need someone to fill a space that's gone. I don't need a replacement." He looked at her fully now, his eyes gentle, warm. "I need someone to walk beside me. Someone strong. Someone gentle. Someone who understands silence and survival." Anna's breath caught in her chest. "I don't need a wife," Nathan said softly. "I need a partner. Can you be both?" Before she could speak, the screen door burst open. 3 children ran into the yard barefoot, laughing loudly. Max sprinted ahead, shouting at the top of his voice. "Say yes, Mama Anna." Nathan blinked. Did he just? Sophie covered her mouth. "Oops. We might have heard everything." Liam stood behind them with his arms crossed. "You took long enough," he said. Anna looked at them, all of them, and her heart felt full to the point of aching. She turned back to Nathan, her eyes shimmering. "Yes," she whispered. The children screamed with joy. Max jumped in the air. Sophie threw flower petals she had hidden behind her back. Liam rolled his eyes, but even he smiled. Under the golden sky, surrounded by the only people who had ever seen all of her and stayed, Anna Moore said yes. Not to a rescue. Not to a fairy tale. But to a family she chose, and who chose her right back. The garden bloomed as if it understood. Late afternoon sunlight danced through the trees as soft jazz played in the background. There were no golden aisles, no expensive arches. Just string lights, wildflowers, and white linen chairs arranged in a soft circle. A simple wedding. A soulful one. Anna walked to the top of the garden path. Her hair fell in soft waves. The locket from her mother rested above her heart. Her ivory dress flowed gently, chosen with help from 3 excited children. Nathan waited below, his smile calm and warm. The guests were few but precious. Margaret, the housekeeper, wiping tears with a handkerchief. Daniel the chef, wearing his first bow tie in 15 years. Dr. Priscilla Adams, holding a tiny bouquet, her eyes glowing with pride. Then the children, Liam, Sophie, and Max, stepped forward holding small boxes. Liam came first. He handed Anna a tightly woven bracelet of navy and gray threads. "This one won't break," he whispered. Sophie stepped up with a chain of paper flowers and beads. "For when you feel sad," she said. "These are happy colors." Finally, Max proudly presented a glitter-covered crown made of popsicle sticks. "It's a crown," he grinned. "But for real moms." Anna knelt and kissed the top of his head, her hands trembling as she accepted their gifts. The ache inside her chest was no longer pain, but fullness. She turned to Nathan. In front of the people who had seen her fall. They were now watching her rise. She took his hands. The vows were simple. "I don't vow to fix you," Nathan said softly. "Because you're not broken. I vow to walk beside you when it's bright, when it's dark, when it's quiet, or too loud. You are my anchor, my beginning, and my every step forward." Anna breathed deeply. "I don't vow to forget my past," she said. "But I promise not to let it control me. I promise to stay when it's easy, and when it's not. Because love didn't save me, it reminded me I was already saving myself." Nathan slid a simple silver ring onto her finger, engraved with their initials. There was no loud cheering, no dramatic kiss. Just warm, honest applause. The sun dipped behind the trees. Children chased each other. Laughter filled the air. At the head table, her name card read, Anna Lancaster. She had signed the papers earlier that week. Later that night, as she stood barefoot in the grass watching the kids catch fireflies, Nathan wrapped his arms gently around her waist. He kissed her temple and whispered, "You know, they don't call you Anna anymore." Anna smiled softly. "I know," she whispered. "Nana," Nathan murmured. "That was Max's word for you, wasn't it?" She nodded gently. "He couldn't say my name at first. Then Sophie started calling me that. Then Liam, and now." Nathan turned her slowly to face him. His voice was warm, almost tender. "You've become someone new." Anna's eyes lifted to his, calm, steady, glowing with quiet strength. I didn't lose myself, she said. I just hadn't met her yet. Nathan pulled her close, holding her like she finally belonged somewhere. You think I saved you? He whispered against her hair. But the truth is, you saved all of us. And under the soft night sky, in the garden she helped grow, the woman who was once rejected, once broken, once hidden, stood tall, loved, seen, whole. She was no longer defined by the pain that shaped her, but by the strength she chose to become. Because sometimes, the worst thing that ever happened to you is what leads you home. If Anna's story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you of your own hidden strength, don't forget to subscribe to Light of Hope Stories. We share emotional, healing stories every week, stories that remind you that hope is never lost and love often shows up where you least expect it. Your support means everything. Please hit that hype button to help us keep bringing these powerful journeys to life. Every story is a light, and you, by watching, help it shine brighter. Thank you for being here. And remember, sometimes your broken pieces are building something beautiful.